Did you know that every day God is trying to communicate with you and trying to establish a relationship with you? This is Answering the Call of God, a message in which we will explore how God attempts to get our attention and how we are to respond when He calls. Let's begin. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Exodus chapter 3, verse 2. God attempts to spiritually break through the barrier created by sin into our physical world. We lack awareness and understanding of God, the spiritual nature of our life and world, and the means by which God communicates with us daily. With Moses, God spiritually appeared in a bush that would not be physically consumed. When we lack understanding of God's communications, we miss the opportunities that God presents us with to draw near to Him. We are more concerned with putting out the fires in our lives than recognizing their purpose, to get us to recognize God and the spiritual nature of life. Although Moses was busy with life, he remained aware of the world around him and saw when God was trying to get his attention. We must have a level of awareness and understanding of the spiritual nature of our lives and world. We must remain aware of God's never-ending presence in our everyday lives. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. Exodus chapter 3, verse 3. To answer the call of God, we must first yield to God in our flesh. Moses immediately stopped what he was doing physically to draw near to God. Moses then went to investigate the sight. Moses was yielding in his mind, which is the heart of the soul. Moses turned his mind to the spiritual things of this life, trying to understand the spiritual nature of our world, giving his mind over to God. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. Exodus chapter 3, verse 4. As with Moses, when we yield in our flesh and our soul to God, our spirit follows. When we acknowledge the spiritual nature of life in our world, in our flesh and soul, we become spiritually aware of God's presence, yielding our entire person to God in flesh, soul, and spirit, to which God responds by speaking. When God calls us, we must reply. In summary, maintain a level of awareness of the spiritual nature of life and our world. Recognize and acknowledge that God is ever present in your life. When God is breaking through the divide between our worlds, stop what you are doing and give Him your physical attention. Yield to God in your flesh. Give your mind over to God. Think on the spiritual nature of life. What is God trying to get you to see? Yield in your soul. Give God your full attention. When you physically stop what you are doing and think on the spiritual nature of life, yielding in your flesh and soul, your spirit becomes aware of God's presence, giving God your full spiritual awareness, yielding in your spirit. When God has your full attention, your flesh, soul, and spirit, He calls out to you. Answer God in prayer in Jesus' name. Therefore, Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 9. Do you wait upon the Lord our God? Are you waiting at His gates daily? Meaning, are you expectantly waiting to hear from God? I challenge you to be aware of and be an active participant in your life. Answer God when He calls. Thank you.